They're
There,
like,
done.
there it is. So we are actually broadcasting into 9 different places right now, and that's actually pretty cool right there.
Wait a minute. I saw a picture of Dan Campbell. You know what I got to say? The guy with Matt LaFluke's number. 3 and 1.
How about that? You like that? You like that one? Oh, Mike was wanting me to go through and do like the rapid fire. I mean, right here, the Goffense commander right there.
The number 1 offense in the NFC North last year, right?
Yep.
In our division for sure, yeah.
The Goffense was hitting on all cylinders last year. And
according to Adam Shine of ESPN, the second best quarterback in the NFC.
Correct. And of course, I'm sure he's putting Jalen Hurts there.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts was one.
And honestly, I can't think of a quarterback I would take over Jared Goff in the NFC right now other than Jalen Hurts, probably. Right? Can you, Jeremy? Is there any other
active starters? Right. Let's see. Do I want Dak Cousins? No. Do I want Kirk Prescott? No. Do I want Jordan Love? Hell no. Do I want Bustin Fields? No.
Kyler Murray.
Do I want Brock Purdy? No, not really. He didn't. Matt Stafford. We had him. We couldn't win with him. Why have him back?
Would you take him over Goff? Is the question.
Ooh, there we go.
No, you would not.
No, well, let's throw that one out there because that
would
one
I take
to me.
Kyler Murray? Fuck no.
I want to throw that.
I went TVMA.
I want. That's all right. This PG-13, you can drop a couple.
Unproven, no. Would I take Sam Darnold? Would I take Baker Mayfield? Nope.
Well, would
I take Derek Carr? Why would I want the same quarterback? No. We were good with Goff. We don't need to do a lateral shift. You're looking for better, correct?
No, we want worse, Jeremy. We want to go backwards like we have for the last 30 freaking years.
What do you think?
Yes, I want that. I want to know. Really, the question that I want to know
I want
from
Daniel Jones. No.
Am I not being
Tell him the question you want to know, Russ. Spit it out.
I'm trying to get it out there. But
you have control of the mute button, my friend.
I'm trying to be respectful and let people finish their take here. Now, the question that I wanted to go on way back about 35 persons ago is Matt Stafford versus Jared Goff. Would you take Matt Stafford right now in this offense straight up for Jared Goff?
Question is, what NFC quarterback would you take ahead of Jared Goff? That's the question. Matt Stafford be damned, or Kyler Murray, or whoever you pick. I think Jalen Hurts is the only guy I might trade Jared Goff for in the NFC. So Jeremy, that was the original question. Is there anyone in the NFC you would trade for other than Jalen Hurts, or would you trade for Jalen Hurts for Jared Goff?
Why would we trade for Jalen Hurts when we might have him on the roster already?
Right. So you think,
and a taller version of him.
You think Jared Goff's the best quarterback in the NFC?
For what we got going, yes, because the offensive coordinator stayed here to be with Goff. There's a reason for that.
Ken Doby says, "Oh, it's my morning dose of delusional Lions fans."
Good morning
dose of Bears fans coming in back at us. You guys haven't won.
Well, we can be delusional Bear fans here for a second. Justin Fields is going to be the MVP, right? He's going to win the NFC North this year. Is that better for you, Ken? Oh, man, this defense is really a lot better without Roquan Smith.
One Lions fan actually echoes my statement there. I'll take Goff over any current NFC for this specific team. I wouldn't even take Hurts. Again, that's for this specific team. Talk to me when Ben Johnson leaves. There. Because the combination of Ben Johnson and Jared Goff is palpable. You can see it. Prescott over Goff. When? If he doesn't have everything right, he can't win either. And even when he has everything right, he can't win in the playoffs.
LOL, Mike thinks that Jared Goff is the best QB in the NFC. Well, LOL, Ken Doby thinks that Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the NFC.
Well,
No,
LOL.
but they're banking on the potential
that's
he
all
has
about.
to be the best in the NFC.
I mean, the Jared Goff is actually can say that he was a top 7 quarterback last year in the NFL. Period. I mean, he can say it. The stats back it
Nobody
up.
says no, I don't about Fields.
No. Well, we definitely don't think that Goff is the best quarterback in the NFC. He may be the quarterback with the best opportunity in the NFC, but I don't think he's the best quarterback. But it's a great position to be in around this great offensive line. Prescott over Goff. Okay. We love running quarterbacks. What do you have there? I mean, Prescott, you want to talk about an overrated dude. I mean, every year he's rated
playoff wins in his entire career so far.
And isn't he rated as a top 3 quarterback like literally every single year and never measures up to it?
He only played in 12 games and led the league in interceptions.
Yep.
That's ridiculous to say Prescott over Goff. I'm sorry, Facebook user. Thank you for the comment, but I just can't agree with that one. I mean, that's as flimsy as Dak's ankle.
All right, so here we go with the question that I asked. Sorry, love Goff, but I'm taking Stafford any day.
Stafford is one spinal injury away from a retirement home.
I mean, you're entitled to that opinion right there, but I mean, Goff is a younger. He's a capable quarterback. Even if you wanted to put him in the same category, which
no,
I mean,
they're not. Stafford's more of a gunslinger, whereas Jared Goff is a smarter.
Yeah, I mean, Goff is a distributor where Stafford is a thrower.
What are Dak's win numbers? That's what matters. Everybody wants to put wins on a quarterback when they're not winning, but when a quarterback wins and gets to the playoffs and loses, they don't want to go.
Yeah, because you want to put yourself over the edge when it comes to that. And FYI, I don't like Goff, never have. Okay, well, that's obvious when you're trashing him. So, I mean, it's not I got your information loud and clear, one Funky Lions fan. We definitely understand that you don't like Goff.
I appreciate him being here, though.
Oh, I love one Funky Lions fan. One Funky Lions fan has been here every single day, and that's what diehards are like. And Ken Doby's another diehard, but he's a Bear fan, but I don't hold it against him because he made it through the entire draft with me every single minute of every single pick of every single day.
Ken Doby brings that up, and I'm going to say it again because I said it yesterday, and he evidently wasn't here. What's Detroit win years? Oh, yeah, 0 division championships in 30 years? And yep, and that was the last time we were favored to win the division.
Yeah, Fields has the potential to step up this season, and yes, D is improved over the last year's version. Yeah, I mean, I can tout what I think Brian Poles has done. I think that he's done a pretty good job since he's been there to bring talent in, but you don't have anybody to coach that talent, Ken. I mean, I don't even think anybody outside of your own fan base even knows who you're. I think that nobody outside your own fan base, like proving my point, Jeremy Ballrick, nobody outside your own fan base knows who your head coach is. So who the hell's going to coach all of these guys, right? Let's see what else Ken's got in here. I'll take Cousins, the best in the North right now. And that's fair. That is, I can't argue. I can't argue with that. The guy won the division. He beat Kirk Cousins beat Jared Goff in a head-to-head comp, head-to-head, and they won the division. So you can argue.
We split with them, so that makes them equal.
They won more games than we did. They win. So, like,
not in the division, they didn't. They went 4-2 in the division. We went 5-1.
So, I mean, see, now you sound like a Lion homer right there.
I am a Lion homer.
Yeah,
I admit it.
So, Well, I can't be a homer on this show. I'm not allowed because they'll fire me, and I can't be a homer on the show.
Yes,
And
you can.
but when it comes to, but I can give them the argument. I can give the argument to a Kirk Cousins supporter because they won the division and they won a head-to-head. Now, yeah, we were better
I
in
can't
the
be
division.
a Cousins supporter. I don't want to be his jockstrap. I couldn't help it.
You like that?
I am trying right here, and it's like, oh gosh, maybe I should just give up. I'm so sick. I lost like 5 viewers right there trying to support the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll just go back to these
Goff is
guys
the best
are
quarterback in the
trash. And Kirk Cousins wouldn't be anything without this guy right here. It must be nice to have a guy that you can just chuck the ball up to. And you did win a lot of close games last year. So maybe it is a little bit of fool's gold there. So let's see. What else do we got in here? I love that you're in there, Ken. It's good to see you. I'll throw the link in there if anybody wants to come in and talk live. We're just having some fun in here. I wanted to let me get this thing up here for there we go. There we go. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say that this broadcast right here is brought to you by the 99. That is Mike Abraham's band that they wrote an awesome album that you can listen to for absolutely free. And I posted the link to that. Go listen to Mike Abraham rock out with his band, the 99, in the comments, and you can download his whole album for free. So we don't try to sell you crap on here. We try to steer you into some good music, some good football talk. Oh my God. Oh, there's Ken Dobie. Ken Dobie's going to set us straight.
Ken, how you doing?
Morning.
I was just having fun talking about Bustin' Fields.
How's retired life?
And I don't
Ken?
call him bust because he's going to be a bust.
It's,
I call him bust because I still don't think you did enough on the old line.
Okay, well you can think that all you want. I mean, you haven't seen a snap yet, but you can think it without looking at what was drafted and signed.
I
and then
know.
when the
I'm just being an
season
asshole.
starts, we can make an omelet with all the egg dripping off your face.
That's good. That's good. Good luck with
No, but Kirk Cousins right now, hands down, is the best quarterback in the division. I hate to say it, but you look at the guy's career, you look at the numbers he puts up, you look at what he's done everywhere he's gone, which is only 2 places, being
that. I'll say
Washington
2 places and
and
failed in the
Minnesota.
playoffs every time.
But he's much better than Jared Goff in total.
I disagree.
Goff went to a Super Bowl, choked, and then was terrible ever since. He's had 1 good year in Detroit. Let's not anoint him.
3 drop touchdown
It's
passes
like,
in
look,
that
it's
Super
like
Bowl.
if Justin Fields comes out and balls this year. Let's say he has let's say he throws 3,700 yards. Has a TD to interception ratio of 40 TD to 1 interception, something like that, or 5 to 1 or something. That's like a Bears fan coming out here and say, "Oh, he should be."
Did
he's
somebody
the best in the
translate
league."
Goff's
he had
brain
one
in
good
his head
season.
then with his athletic ability? Because he hasn't shown he can read a defense.
Well, you obviously didn't watch him in college at all, but that's okay. We'll let.
I'm
that
not talking about college. I'm
not a
talking
big
about in
college
the
guy
NFL.
either. I'm not a big college guy either. But he, last year wasn't that he didn't read defenses, that he had zero confidence in his wide receiving core.
That may be, but it was he'd look at his one receiver, then put his head down and run. If
Because
he wasn't
he
open.
had zero confidence in his receiving core.
That's fair. That's.
I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, he ran because he had zero confidence. I saw times where it's like, all right, pull the trigger.
And
you have the
it's
ball.
sad because
But then
your
instead of
O-line
making the
actually
pass-
did decent
But
in
hold,
pass
hold on,
protection.
Jeremy, hold on. But then instead of making the pass, he wouldn't make the pass. He would tuck it and run because he didn't have the confidence in his receiving core. And Woody, good to see you, brother. It's been a minute. He'll tell you the same thing because he watched every game just like I did.
Every single one.
Every painful one, right?
So now it's like a 2-on-2. Is this a tag team match right here? I'm actually looking up some numbers right now. I'm gonna pull up some numbers between I want to see how close this Goff and Cousins thing is. So you guys go ahead, keep talking about the idea here with like Justin Fields. I want to hear what Woody's got to say about Justin Fields too.
Well, like I said, we built pieces around him. I like the pieces on the offensive line that we got. Drafting, like I said, Nate Davis, getting rid of shithead Mustafa, moving Cody Whitehair to the center. Oh, I like that. And like I said, the most important is Cody Whitehair moving back to center, and Tevin Jenkins has got to get his head out of his ass this year.
If they can straighten that one eye up, maybe he'll see the blind side coming
Right,
at him
because this year there's going to be no excuses. We do have offensive weapons. There's not going to be any excuses this year. We have a better offensive line than we had last year already, even though we didn't have a snap yet. No excuses this year.
And in fairness to Tevin Jenkins, too, though, Woody, I mean, when we look at his PFF last year, his PFF grade was actually one of the higher PFF grades for a lineman in the NFL. He PFF well. His problem has been twofold. One, not being solidified in one singular position where he can excel. And two, he's had some minor injuries since that rookie year, which of course was a major. But he has battled some minor nicks and dings, if you will. But when he's solid in one position, which the Bears look like if they can be healthy, he will be set. I think he'll be what Woody wants him to be, is what I'm trying to say.
And they also said Larry Borum's having a good off season too. So
yeah,
no excuses.
Good rotational guy.
So I just brought up, and this is what I found, what I really wanted to find with the Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff right here. And when you look at them, they're so brutally similar that it's kind of ridiculous. You got Goff that throws at 65.1% of completed for his, or no, wait, 64% for his career, 66% for Cousins' career. In the last year, Goff threw for 4,400 yards. Cousins threw for 4,500 yards. Goff had 29 TDs. Kirk Cousins had 29 TDs.
Hey, Russ.
Kirk had.
Do me a favor, not to interrupt you, Russell, but how many 4,000-yard seasons does Jared Goff have?
If I had to
Three,
guess,
if
I'd
I
say
remember.
I would say 4. I would say 4.
I think 3.
Let's see.
And then compare that to Kirk Cousins, which I believe is like
Who's
virtually
been
every
playing
year
longer?
A starter.
Who's been playing longer?
That means he's been. Hey, that means Kirk Cousins been. That means Kirk Cousins has been losing the game more.
Kirk Cousins, it's funny. There's a meme out there that's been floating for weeks. It shows 4,000-yard quarterbacks, right, per team. Of course, the Bears have a big goose egg. But Kirk Cousins is on that list twice, as a Redskin and as a Viking. I mean, Kirk overall, career-wise, I will say is better than Jared Goff. Jared Goff got a great one season with the Rams, and that was it. And then last year was pretty good. It was a nice rebound year for him, but.
And that's the thing is, like, I think that his what people call a bad season isn't a bad season. He's had what I would say 3 above average seasons, 1 and 2 phenomenal seasons, and 1 bad season. I mean, people call these bad seasons, and I think that a lot of this was portrayed in the media by Sean McVay because he was getting blamed for certain things, and he threw Goff underneath of the bus when it comes with this stuff.
You trade Goff away for Stafford, and the very next year win a Super Bowl.
In a team that was built for Goff.
In a team that was
they
built
had to
for
add
another quarterback.
Wait, let
even
me
better.
finish.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's support team better. In a team that was built for a different quarterback altogether, who Jeremy says is a different type of quarterback altogether.
And they had to add pieces mid-season just to get there because Matt Stafford was throwing away the ball quicker than he could throw a touchdown. He led the league in interceptions that year.
Did he win the Super Bowl?
Yep, 2 bad calls one way or the other, and it's a different story.
The 3 letters you're looking for, Jeremy, are Y, E, and S.
I understand he won it.
So here I'm going. Let me go through these numbers here, and you tell me, because I ain't going to tell you what year it is, but I just want you to tell me if you think it's a good season, and you guys can both answer it. So Jared Goff on one of his seasons had 28 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions, 100.5 rating, 62% completions, 3,800 yards. Is that a good season?
Absolutely.
YES is what I'm looking for.
Oh, I'm
Ken.
sorry. YES, Russell.
Yes, YES. Okay.
I'm sorry, I
So,
was just being mesmerized by the funky Lion fan there in his comment.
here's another season that he had: 32 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions, 101.1 rating, 64% completions, 4,600 yards. Is that a good season?
That's not bad.
YES, Russell.
YES. Okay. Here's another season that he had: 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 86.5, 4,600 yards, 62% completion.
Average. I would go towards the no.
Well, 4,600 yards.
It doesn't matter yards. Yeah, yards. You could be
Six-
throwing all over the
Yeah,
field,
that's
and
easy.
you don't score or nothing.
So that's 16. The 16 interceptions is what calls that a bad season. That's not a bad season. That's an average at worst. I would say that it's above average, but it's not. You're not.
Would you
calling
say
all of
his? I know his completion rating was what, 64. What was his QBR?
86.5. That's the quarterback rating, not QBR.
Oh, okay.
Above
Oof.
average.
Okay.
That's
Still above average at
That's an
86.5.
above average rate.
What was the TD interception on that year again?
That's where it's bad. 22,
16.
22 and 16 INT.
No, that's bad, man. I'm sorry, that's bad.
Okay,
Mhm.
That's like saying Dak Prescott. Well, if that's a above average season, then Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the NFL.
it's
That's him
below
every year.
average because his name is Jared Goff and not Dak Prescott.
No,
we'll move
no,
on to
no,
2020.
no,
We'll move on to
that's a
2020.
That's all the year.
You're-
Just keep
No.
going.
Russell, that's a bad season, and it's a bad.
No,
season
it's
for
not.
Dak gets the love 'cause he's a
86.5
Cowboy.
rating is a good season. It's not anything to call home. 2017 and 2018 were good seasons. 2019 was average. 2020, 67%, 3,900 yards, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 90 quarterback rating.
Average.
Average. A little bit above average.
Yeah.
Above average there. 2021, 67% completion, 3,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 91.5 rating.
Yeah,
Good.
That's better. That's better.
Right?
You see,
YES, Russell. I do apologize. It's supposed to be YES.
Yeah, those last 3 seasons, Russell, the one that you called above average, that Woody and I said was bad. Look, at least he's trending up from that bad season. That was a horrible season. The next season was better. The season you just read was better.
Okay.
Now what was 22's? That's
Oh,
what was probably
well,
better.
that's the best season.
438
Actually,
yards.
I didn't even say that one, but I'll give you the 22 season was 65% completion.
Yeah.
4,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions,
That's great.
99.3.
That's great year. Great year.
That's a top 10 finish right there.
So that's a
So
breakout
he's had-
season.
He's had 2 average seasons, according to what you're saying. 2 average seasons. The rookie year, when he had to come in when they were already 0-8 and Sam Bradford was next to garbage before he left. Remember those years?
So, yeah, so you
You
call
take that out, the rookie season, because he only played 8 games and it was horrible because he had Jeff Fisher as a head coach.
Come on now. He's a former
Yeah.
Bear. Is that a low blow, Jeremy?
Yeah, I
No,
think that is.
I'm talking about Jeff Fisher as a horrible coach, period. I don't care who he coached for. He's so awful that you look up awful in the football dictionary, his picture is next to it.
I thought it was the Lions logo.
so
No, the next to his picture is Matt Millins. Then it's Rod Morinelli. Oh wait, Marinelli, sorry.
Hey, you know what? I wanted to tell you, Jeremy, Matt Millen, he lives 10 minutes from me in Whitehall, Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry. Property values dropped when he moved there.
Oh man. Well, the point to my exercise right there, I think was well taken because you kind of lay it out there. I think that you could argue that he had one bad season because we could kind of go back and forth to call it average. I wanted to call average, but I want to say it's a bad season. So by your standards, he's only had one bad season, 2 if you count his rookie year. And I'll even give it 2. But out of an entire career where you can look, that he's actually been pretty consistent. 99.3, 91.5, 86.5, which is your bad season that you were talking about, 101.1, 100.5, 92.8. This guy's
for his career.
That to me shows consistency. That to me shows that he's been
out that abomination when Jeff Fisher was coaching him. He would
well,
have a 95 average right now.
Well,
because that was a 63.2. If
Sure.
you took out the rookie year. I'm just saying.
I mean, but you can go through Kirk Cousins' career and do the exact same thing. I think that honestly, when I look at these 2 quarterbacks, not just in the NFC North, but in the entire NFL, both of them are underrated. I mean, they don't get shit on like they're these bad quarterbacks, and they've been good.
I really think Kirk Cousins is going to drop this year. You know, that Dalvin Cook, when they released him, people don't think it's big, but it's big because now they only have Madison. Madison's a good runner, but now that Dalvin Cook's not there, like I said before, Kirk Cousins is one of the best play action passers that I ever seen play. JJ is going to be double covered a lot.
Yeah. And that's been, you believe that too, don't you, Ken?
I mean, you know, the thing with Cousins has always been the underdog, right? Because he was drafted in the same draft as RG3, and they were like, what the hell? Turned out to be the best move the Redskins made that season when they drafted both quarterbacks. Cousins actually turned out to be something that was really good for them and set them up for the future. Cousins, no one doubts his work ethic. No one doubts his toughness. No one doubts his ability. But the problem he has is he's always been saddled with a team that just isn't quite there. Like offensively last year, they were good. Defensively, they sucked. When they had a really good defense, he kept them offensively afloat as best he could with what little he had. And now he's in a situation where the defense is terrible, and I think the offense is somewhat, as Woody's alluded to, degraded some. So, you know, is this a move for the Vikings doing a soft rebuild, which I think is a mistake because I think Cousins, he's got years left, put that way. You could get even 5, 6, 7 years out of him if you want. Good, solid years. But are they trying to make a move now? It almost seems to me like Minnesota wants him to fail, which is, I think, a mistake on Minnesota's part. I think if he's gone from Minnesota this year, he's going to go to another team and he'll have success wherever he goes.
So give me what would you do if you're Kwesi and you're not a moron? What would you do to fix this team?
Defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you
give?
Cousins?
I don't know if you guys watch that quarterback show on Netflix. I started watching it yesterday, and man, Cousins. You know, we talk about how much Justin Field gets hit in a game, aka also why he ran so much last year. But man, you know, Cousins gets beat. I mean, that man takes a beating every game, and he's so resilient. He plays through it. He pushes through. He needs an offensive line. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's able to do with what he's got. And I think Kwesi is trying to shed as much money as he can. And look, Kirk's been worth the $20 million or so a year they've been paying him. He's been worth every penny of that contract. I think Kwesi is just trying to move off from him, get some young guy. Because look, you can say what you want to say, Jeremy, about Justin Fields, but he creates a huge buzz for the Bears. And he creates a huge buzz for the NFL because of the type of year he had with the running and the flash and all that. Well, Minnesota kind of wants that, and he's cheap, right? Fields is cheap. Fields is the cheapest quarterback in the division right now, right? So, I mean, for the time being. I think, for the time being, but I think Kwesi sees that, and if he's going to do a soft rebuild, I think that he's going to move on from Cousins, and he's not that he won't say I'm setting my team up for failure, but he's like, look, I have enough young guys like Jefferson where I could do a good soft reset and draft me a stud young, new franchise quarterback and be okay. But he's gambling a lot. He's gambling a lot.
So you would keep Cousins
Yes.
and kind of build around him. How about you, Jeremy B? What if you're not a complete tool moron in the way that you set your franchise up like Quezzy is, and you could rebuild this franchise right? What would you do with Minnesota Vikings?
Well, I would continue to get rid of the bloated contracts on defense and continue to build that defense, because the offense, all they're missing is Cook. Think about it. Cook in short yardage situations versus Madison, he can do more. It requires 8 in a box to stop him. You're not going to need that with Madison. He's a capable back. He's a
Right.
good back, but he's not a great or elite back.
So you're on the same train right there that you would keep Cousins, try to build the defense around him. What do you think, Woody? I mean,
Yeah,
what would you do?
I agree with that. I mean, their defense was, shit last year.
Atrocious.
I mean, what did they win? Like 11 games or something with one possession last
Yep.
year? And was
every year here's the thing. Every year with Minnesota, it goes back and forth on whether they have more one-win wins
Yep.
or more
They were the worst 2
one-win
years ago.
losses. They were the worst 2 years ago. Then
Yep.
3 years ago, they had a good year. Then 4
Yep.
years ago, they were bad again. It's back and
Right.
forth with them every year with one-score games.
So
There's
I
no consistency there. And that has a lot to do with, Leslie
But it also-
Frazier, Mike
but it
Zimmer,
also
all those
speaks-
guys.
But Jeremy, I think it also speaks in the parity of the NFL, because if you look at the Bears last year, for as terrible as our record was, we had 7 games that were one possession, 2 of which were by literally 1 point. So I mean, that's just the parity of the NFL and how even the bad teams aren't really that bad. I mean, the Bears were think about 7 one possession games last year. 2 of those 1 points. If those 7 games you flip the coin and it's head instead of tails, then all of a sudden they were a 10-win team last year. I mean, that's the parity of the NFL.
Well, we got to keep the Bears. Bears got to keep the lead. Like I was telling Russell 2 days ago or yesterday, what Bears were number 2 in the league last year on first drive touchdowns.
Yep.
And then the rest of the game, they just took a shit. So
Right.
got to keep that up and score in the third quarter.
I mean, our division is almost like a shootout division, because the way Minnesota is set up last year in a way was to win by shootout, and that's basically what they did until they hit the playoffs. And that's the Giants game can be talked about ad nauseum. I think a lot of that game though was Kurt was just so damn beat up, and that defense was so pathetically beat up by the end. Kurt could have played the game of his life, and they probably would have lost that game. But every team in the division, to include the Lions to a degree, are set up more for
Mhm.
a shootout than a defensive game. I mean, I know you guys, Lions fans, like to think that your defense is really good. And I even said, Woody will tell you, I said on our show last year, the Lions defense has been improving. It's actually pretty good D. You guys might, and Green Bay has a pretty good D, but all our teams are set up for the shootout.
I think Minnesota finishes in the cellar. That's my opinion about this year. And even though Green Bay lost Aaron Rodgers, I think it's going to be a shootout with that record between Bears and Packers.
Yep.
Even though, all the new faces that we got, veterans and stuff, Packers are getting a lot of defensive players back that were injured.
Yeah.
And, they got one of the best cornerbacks too. Probably the best cornerback in the division is Alexander. So I think it's going to be a shootout. Detroit wins the division and Bears and Packers shoot it out for second.
Well, I like all that right there. I wanted to finish the touch off because you guys went to the spot of keeping Cousins. I'm on the other side of that fence right there because I believe that when you have a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson, you don't let him get out, and you have TJ Hawkinson, I would re-sign both of those 2 guys and then draft their quarterback of the future and get a quarterback on a rookie deal. And I don't think their team is going to move forward until they do that. I don't think you can build around a 30, I don't even know, 35-year-old. I don't even know how
Well,
old he
the
is.
problem they had,
But,
Russ, is how much money they're in the hole, and how I mean,
It's
Quincy
cap
had to
hell.
cut.
They're living in the cap hell. No, the
Yeah.
Flames are burning up. All their good guys have to leave. This is the definition of cap hell, by the way, guys. Like if you're a Viking fan, you go, "Oh, we didn't do cap hell. Look what we did. We got underneath the cap." That's the result of cap hell. That's why you're in it. That's why you have to get rid of your players, because you are in hell, in cap hell.
Last
So-
year, who was in cap hell?
We like that.
Last year, who was in cap hell in the division other than the Lions?
Whoa, the Lions have been in cap hell for a couple years, and this was the
A
first
couple
year that
decades.
they were.
Get it right, because prior to the CBA changing in 2008, NFL coaches' salaries, they used to count against the cap. So you had all those coaches that were a revolving door during the Millen era that we were still paying for up until like
Right.
2016.
Well, what the Vikings just did, it reminds me of what the Lions did in 2014 when they restructured Sue and all the guys that got a little bit of extra money. They brought in Golden Tate, Reggie Bush, and all these guys. They were able. You got 1 year to do that. You got 1 year to push your chips in and feel it. And they went in. They lost in the Dallas game, and then the next year, I remember Lion fan being like, "Yeah, man, we're ready to go there again." And it's like, they're on the other side. They're starting to slide onto this other side of the cap hell. They can't keep these 3 high contracts and get better at the same time. So it had to be reset. And until 2021 came in, and they were 60 million under dead cap. We had to build our roster with just like you guys did last year, Ken Doby, where you had to go way behind the 8 ball with all of the cap and all the cuts and everything like that. And you just had to work with UDFAs and however you could fill your roster up. I mean, you're not going to compete like that. But when you get to the other side of that, and then finally you get into a 2023 season where you can go get a Chauncey Gardner, you can go get a couple nice pieces that you can just add to the team, you're competing. I don't know if we're going to win, but I know that this is the best shot that the Lions have had, and I think it's better than the 93 version, because I feel like this is built like a championship team, not just a team that could win a division.
Well, you guys, if you look at even more recent with the Bears, the 18 season, I still contend 18 season was a bad season away for the Bears because we were ahead of schedule. It put us ahead of schedule by a year.
What's up, Tina?
18, but 18 shouldn't have happened. It happened, but it shouldn't have. I said we were a year ahead of schedule, and because we got ahead of schedule, we spent some stupid money coming into 19, and then Matt Nagy really happened, right? He was good in 18, but 19 and 20 was a terrible coach, and that put us in a bind coming into 21, and then 22, and so what you saw what happened, starting in 21 and 22, 21 the old regime got smart. Tried to get a little smart, save themselves, and cut a little cap. But then you saw what Poles did the second he came in. He got rid of a lot of that we bought it too early cap money. The Lions are kind of in that same place right now, but you're not ahead of schedule, which is a good thing because you guys learned from the Ryan Pace experiment, right?
Yeah.
You guys haven't gone out and made that we can win it now big splash, which tells me you guys think you're one more year out. So, based on what happens this year, let's say you guys have a good year this year. Let's say you win the division. Let's say you get to the playoffs and get bounced either, a divisional or NFC championship. Let's say you can get there. The next season, your next off season, right, puts you on schedule to be in that Super Bowl window where you guys will make that big financial splash that you haven't made yet on some player.
Well, but here's where I agreed with you all the way up until the Chauncey Gardner signing. The Chauncey Gardner signing told me that Brad Holmes says the rebuild is over. We are going to go get an impact player. And I think that this is going to be his MO going forward. Now that we have the base of the team all set with rookie contracts, first, second, third year players. Now he's splashing in these 1 year deal guys that are coming in to win a title. Chauncey Gardner was the over the edge one. Cameron Sutton, I was like, okay, cool. We have a good offseason, got a good Mosley. I liked those 2 signings, but Gardner Johnson was the one that pushed me over the edge that said, we are 1 year early. We are 1 year early, but they're not going out and signing the 5-year deal. That's
Right.
a mistake.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you're still on schedule because when you get, you're still on schedule. I mean, that signing, I agree with you, says rebuild is over, but it doesn't say we're all in for the Super Bowl this year. It says, okay, we have some extra scratch for this year because we're still good on cap. You guys are still good on cap, but
Yeah.
so let's spend the money on this 1 year. We'll call them a prove it to stay with us past this year deal. But it's one of those things like we know we're a playoff contending team. Maybe this is the one piece that could get us all the way early, but if not, we're still on schedule.
Well, I
It's
think
not a
that it
break
has.
the schedule.
I think it had more to do with the fact that like next year we're gonna have 70 million. So I think when they went to Chauncey, they're like, "Hey, listen, why don't you come in here and play for the year, the 1 year, the way our cap is set, and this thing goes well. We got a lot of money that we can re-up
Right.
next year." And that's how we're going to re-sign Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's how we're going to re-sign Jonah Jackson, because Holmes is a genius when it comes to this cap. I can see how he not only is he setting it up for the now, but this is a 5-year deal right now. We're just at the first of the window that starts. That's where I believe, because Hendon Hooker is another piece of that, but that's like next year's piece, because when that 30 million leaves the Lions, and then you have a quarterback for 2 or 3 years for $1.50, then you got another window of contention.
And he's a pretty good insurance policy for Jared Goff too. I mean, Hendon Hooker was actually one of your best picks of the draft, and he's a really good insurance policy that you don't have to
red shirt.
You don't have to put a lot of demands on him this year. You can learn, and if Goff regresses, right, if that were to happen, you don't have to necessarily push him up, but you can start to nudge. And let's say he regresses this year, but if he regresses this year, it's not like the Lions are going to push Goff out. So they'll give him another year. And if he regresses or doesn't improve, come back to form that second, in 24. If he regresses in 23, then okay, Hendon, this is why we drafted you. So I think Goff has a 2-year window as far as a Hendon Hooker threat. But Hooker is a great insurance policy for the Lions for exactly what you just said. Because if Goff, let's say Goff regresses the next 2 years, why pay him the money when I got a Hendon Hooker sitting right there, costs me $1.50 compared to $50? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's smart. That's smart hedging of the bet by your organization.
Yeah, and I like that he does that, and that it is set up long term. It isn't just this year that they're really going for. I liked the Hendon Hooker pick a lot because there's no pressure. There's none.
You know what? A lot of teams play for the now, which I don't understand. A lot of people want to sign that big veteran. Bam, I want to win this year. I'd rather play for the, first, second, 5 years, future. So you're consistently winning. So I don't like that play for now shit.
Jonathan Height says, why y'all do this on weekdays during workouts? I don't even know how to answer. I don't know how to answer that without being like, I don't want to be disrespectful to you, John.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful either. I work afternoons, so I'm available right now. I also do my show in the evenings.
I'm on injured reserve. That's why I'm on now.
I mean,
I'm just retired.
All I can say, John, is
Did you say retarded?
Retired.
So Jonathan, this got started with conversations that I used to have with my bass player Grove T from And We Know Sports. We used to just have these conversations every day around this time. I'd call him up and we'd talk for years. I mean, this is probably dates back to 2006. Just every year we just get on the phone and we talk on. And after a while, we just started saying, you know what? If we were to ever turn on a recorder and just turn this on, this would be great, like football content. So we went on and talked crap like that for like 5 or 6 years. And then finally, right around 18, we started turning on the camera.
Russell, all you gotta tell them is that you get paid like $2.5 million a year to do this.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah. We don't have honesty on this show, Jonathan.
Hey, Jason.
But
let me go to Jason real quick. Hey, I'm literally right down the road from you. I'm in Gulf Breeze. The funny thing, he's in Destin. The funny thing a lot of people don't understand about the Florida fan base, this area being the Panhandle is a NFC North hotbed. I've got Bears bars, Packers bars, Lions bars. I think there's even a Vikings bar. There are a lot.
That's out in the Bay, isn't it? That's out in the Gulf, right? The Viking bar.
I'm
a Viking bar.
You like that?
Stop playing with us. So not only do we get beautiful beaches, but we get to watch the NFC North in December while on the beach. But I'm right down the road from you. So good morning there in Destin. Hope you're enjoying the thousands of tourists that have descended among your town.
And Russell, I'm right down the road from you as well.
What now?
Really?
I'm right down the road from Russell.
And me.
Pennsylvania?
In Michigan.
I live in Michigan.
Oh, I thought you were in Ohio.
Oh, no. I grew up in Ohio, and I'm originally from Ohio, and I'm a Lions fan. So I support anybody that's out of state, following their team.
I'm from Jersey and Pennsylvania, and I'm a Bears fan.
It's like, God forbid I would be successful and want to move to a better place.
It's actually 90 million in cap. Chad DeTimo was saying,
hey, Detroit's a safe place to live. You know what I mean?
But this podcast thing, it's like we always talked in the morning, and that was the thing. And and I can't even believe that there's 35 people that want to watch this at 11 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. on an off season, July 19th, where there's no football, and there's a whole bunch of football fans on here wanting to talk about football. And honestly, John, I'm glad that you tuned in, man. And I'm sorry that we can't be convenient for you. Tina says that, do the Lions need more weapons for their team? I'll answer that last. Let me start with Woody. Why don't you go first?
I think, man, St. Brown, he's the star. But I think you guys, what do you think? Tight end maybe of Target?
I don't know. I mean, we like our tight end room that we had, with Wright, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and James Mitchell that we drafted last year, and then they drafted Sam Laporta. So I would argue that the regime would say that we're set at tight end.
So Laporta is going to be your star, most likely, correct?
He'll be the pass catching tight end for sure.
I say, oh man, it's hard to say. Maybe one receiver, like medium or average, to help out St. Brown a little bit. But I'd say, yeah, maybe one.
One pass catcher, we'll say right there. How about you, Jeremy B? Do you think that we need to go out into free agency? Do we need to upgrade our weapons room?
Let's talk about the wide receiver room we have, minus Jamison Williams for 6 weeks, right? So we got Amon-Ra St. Brown as the number one. Then we got Marvin Jones Jr., Josh.
Marvin Jones, holy
Marvin
Jesus
Jones
Christ.
Jr. At 30. We have
Marvelous Marvin.
Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Antoine Green, the 7th round pick. He'll make the roster because he was an actual pick. We got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to be used as more of a wide receiver than running back anyways. He's already been lining up all off season. 80% of his snaps have been at wide receiver, either at the X or at the split end position.
So, I mean, really, by not answering the question, you answered the question, because that's those are pass catchers that whoever we would bring in would have to beat out to make the roster, right?
And we still have Tom Kennedy. We have Katoan Thompson, the undrafted free agent, the first one to make the active roster, which I called because he was waived and made it back to the team.
and I feel you on that, but we are broadcasting to 75% of the fan base that just went who
right,
and who, right?
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of that, Ken Doby, what do you feel about our playmakers?
So, I mean, look at St. Brown's been a pleasant surprise for you guys, and he's been a surprise, I think, in the league as far as his production and how good a receiver he is. I don't think people projected him to be the player he's become for you. But after St. Brown, I am not afraid of your wide receiving room. And so I'm going to say yes. And because if I say yes, that you need depth, because I don't have that. If St. Brown has a bad day, gets injured, I have more question marks than not. I think I agree with your tight end room. You drafted what tight ends in the draft that were pretty good. You need something. I love your running back room, right? Montgomery was a great sign for you. I just think you need more depth or better depth at receiver. And you may, one of the users is saying, Chad was saying, hey, the Lions will be looking for an upgrade at tackle. And yeah, you guys got great O-line, but once again.
No, yeah. D tackle, he said.
Oh, D tackle. I'm sorry. Yep. But
I disagree. I think they're just fine at D tackle.
As the Bears have shown the last couple of years, like Woody and I will tell you, like at the beginning of the season, we're like, yeah, the O-line looks good and projected well. And then week 1-2 injuries happen. And now Tevin Jenkins is being moved around. Cody Whitehair is taken out of a position he was a Pro Bowler at and shifted around for 3 years. So for you guys, yes, the answer is always yes. You always need more depth. And I think you need more depth specifically in the wide receiving room. And I think you might be looking at some offensive line depth here at some point too.
I don't get the call out on offensive line depth because we haven't had all 5 starters on the field in any one game the last 2 seasons and have been top 5 and top 10. And
that's exactly to my point.
Well, let me hit this weapons thing. And I'm to the I don't think that we need depth. I think that if you can make an upgrade, I'm always there for an upgrade. If you think that guy can come in and compete for a starting position, because I believe it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then we have 3 number 3 wide receivers, Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond
and Marvin Jones Jr.
And Marvin Jones are all number 3 wide receivers. Now, one of them's going to have to play as a number 2 wide receiver, obviously, for 6 weeks. And if Sam Laporta is that guy, they picked him 34 overall as a pass catcher. It was intriguing to me that when they went to OTAs that they had Sam Laporta not learning how to block. They had him lined up in the X and in the Y. So I think he's just going to be a 6'4", 250-pound, X receiver.
Well, Earl Jackson must not be paying attention to what they did pick up this offseason.
And Russell, you're betting that after 6 weeks he's going to be at the level you want to be your number 2.
Well, but here's the thing: is like you're kind of betting, but the thing is the guy's taking the roster spot up. So whether you want to bet on it or not, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs too. Like Holmes came out in that interview straight out. He said, "Forget running back." He told that verbatim came out of his mouth. Forget running back. He's not a running back. We didn't draft him as a running back. That's not what it is. It isn't Lions fans throwing a fit. He's a weapon. Leave him alone. That's what they didn't draft him as a running back. They drafted him to line him up wherever your bad guy is. And he's going to line up right next to that guy. And they're going to try to get him the ball, 10 to 20 times a game.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. Whether you like, he's only a rookie. You can't depend. Yeah, we can depend on him. We can depend on him like a number 1 playmaker, like you would depend on Deebo Samuel.
Any fan that says you can't, like, you take a guy high first round, you don't take a guy high first round to not depend on him to do something.
Exactly. And the thing is even with Sam Laporta, that's pick 34. That's close enough to the first round to say that's a first round pick type of talent where you are going to use that guy. Yeah. I don't care if you believe in him or not, but they got Sam Laporta, and Sam Laporta was the best. He was the best at breaking tackles. Breaking tackles and yak. So what they want to do is they want to protect Jared Goff. They want to get the ball out of his hands as fast as possible and get it into the playmakers where David Montgomery, where Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, or whoever, Amon-Ra St. Brown, any of these guys can break tackles because the last thing that I want is seeing Jared Goff is out in the open field. Nobody wants to see that except for
I would.
the opposing defenses.
Right. That's exactly right. Bears fans and Bears defense
Right.
would love to see that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you guys
man.
would love to see that, but I'm sorry, but we don't want it. But we are going to be depending on those guys.
Now, to answer about how many offensive linemen we have right now, we only have 3 guys that played, or 4 guys that played no games last year whatsoever on our offensive line. Those 4 is Obina Eze.
The Big
He was
Easy.
at UDFA last year. Big Easy, yep. Darren Paulo, which we picked up mid-season during a couple of injuries, but just threw him on the practice squad, and Max Percher. The rest of them all played last season. Ross Perschbacher, Jermaine Ifredi, Connor Galvin played in college. Ryan Svoboda played in college. Brad Cecil played in college. Logan Stenberg even got in on 16 games. Kayota Awasika played in 10. Graham Glasgow played 17 games last year. And that's our backup center / guard. So to say that we don't have depth on the O-line, somebody's not paying attention to the roster.
I'm not even paying attention to the roster like that. You named some names that almost sounded like you were a principal giving out like diplomas at a graduation ceremony.
Russell, he's reading it. He's
I am
reading
reading it, but I'm reading it correctly, no less.
Yeah,
And then, of course, the guy that didn't play a game and is finally going to get the start after 2 years when he didn't give up a sack as a right guard. Halapulufati Vaitai.
There's some
that
great
was
guys.
a
There are
very
guys,
good
though-
pronunciation. That was good. I was
Stop playing with us. Jeremy, you're falling into the trap because there are guys who had great college numbers that all our teams have drafted, and what our fans, oh, look at this guy in college. He never gave up a sack. Guy
No,
gets into
I'm
an
not
NFL
looking
game,
at that
can't
because
stop
it
a
doesn't
sack,
have any
to
list.
save
Wait,
his life.
I'm not talking about a guy that didn't give up a sack in college. I'm talking about a guy that didn't give up a sack in the NFL in 2021 as our right guard. Big V.
Big V. Big V. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have him back. He has every chance to win that job, too. And there's 2 guys that are behind him in Glasgow that can play all 3 middle positions. And then they drafted the Corby Sorsdahl to kind of
Chad
develop.
Daitima, 2021, Vaitai did play.
But Jeremy, back to what I said to why you want depth, because I don't care who you are, how good your offensive line is, you're always looking for more depth at the O-line.
We have 20
Always
O-linemen
looking for
on the
more depth.
roster right now is what I'm saying. We have depth.
The day
You know,
you think you have depth, you don't.
Unlike the Bears, who have 11 tight ends and only 10 O-linemen.
11 tight ends, huh?
There was
Yeah, when you add in your UDFAs and everything else, you guys have 11 tight ends on your roster.
but
And you added more this year.
But every team in the North has a list like you had. You know, I mean, Ken can go to his list of UDFAs and hopefuls and guys that have experience and say he's got a bunch of depth too.
When I said people who had snaps, the stats I gave were people who played in the NFL. I didn't give anybody with the college
The
snap.
point
stat.
still is, though, you're always looking for O-line depth, because the second you think you're
Right.
good is when you know you're not. Right? Oh, we're good at O-line, and then you find out you're not. You're always – that's one
I am
area
saying we've
teams
proven the
always
past
look for
2
depth.
years because we haven't had 5 starters on the goddamn field and still was top 5 and top 10. I'm proving we have depth.
You're
Relax.
still looking for depth, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, you can never have enough offensive linemen. You can never have
Thank
enough.
you.
Which is why we have 20.
You know. So Uriel Jackson says, I like Colby Sorsdahl. I like a lot of the late round in the UDFAs too. And I like that we have a lot of proven talent in there. And last year it actually got tested, Ken. Like there was like a 5-game stretch where it was kind of like a revolving door at right guard. Frank Ragnow got injured. Like Decker was out for part of the year. So there was a bunch of moving parts. And the guys that stepped in that actually played well were the backup guys. And we actually
That's what I was
proved,
getting at.
and they proved that they could come in step in a pinch. And
Nonetheless,
Lions
you're
fan-
still looking for depth. We're always looking for depth. That's the point. It's not to say your O-line's not good, Jeremy. That's never what is being said. What's
I'm
being
saying
said
our
is
depth is better
you're
than most.
always
Is all I'm
looking for
saying.
depth.
All I'm saying is our depth is better than most, and we proved it because we
Yeah.
didn't. There was 2 games where all we had was one starter on the
So
field.
you
Panay
proved that
Sewell.
for last year.
Yep. And
And the
now
year
here we
You
before.
are.
don't want to
Yep.
have to prove it again this year.
We've
is what
had to
I'm
You
prove
don't.
it 2 years in a row.
So Kareem Johnson says Lions didn't just draft ballers, they drafted dogs, and who just happened to be ballers. So sure, we drafted some ballers. When I listened to that Brad Holmes interview with Peter Schlegel, I something was said about the style of person that Brad Holmes was looking for, and it's like the thing that tipped him off when they decided to draft Aaron Donald was like the fact that he was in the back room and he was talking about the story where he could see that Aaron Donald was like agitated. He was bouncing his knees where he was just like, man, I need to go work. I need to know who I'm going to play for. He had that certain tenacity that he just wanted to do anything he could to be the first one there. He can see those guys. He wants all of those type of guys, even more than the abilities, is this desire to just want to become better and to get into the gym and become the best versions. I don't want a guy that's just, oh, I'm happy to be here. Oh, I made it to the NFL. Yay. You don't want that guy. You want a guy that's like, oh man, this is just the first step to my gold jacket. I need to get into the gym. I'm ready to put in the work. And yeah, when he says draft ballers, he drafts dogs that just happen to be ballers. That's what I think Kareem Johnson is talking about right there. And thank you for the comment right there.
And
Good
yes,
comment.
I agree with one funky Lions fan. I wish we could have kept Evan Brown, but I think his salary demands as a backup was higher than we were willing to pay.
Yeah, he went and became a starter. I mean, that's
Right.
good for you, Evan Brown, to come from our depth and go to somewhere else and get that starter money. Unfortunately
There's
for
always a
you,
guy like that. It's for every
Wait,
team.
Didn't we
Woody's
sign
had
him out of
a
college
bunch
in
of them on the
2021 as a
defensive side of the ball in the
UDFA?
last 3 years.
what's that? Go
He
ahead.
was
Go,
a UDFA in 2021, correct?
Evan Brown.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's cool. I mean, if you can have somebody that comes from your team and goes to another team and can get an upgrade, kudos to that. If you can be that launching pad. I mean, we have Frank Ragnow, so we're not going to go give you $10 million a year. I'm sorry, everywhere, Evan Brown, because you can play everywhere. You can play left guard, you can play right guard, you can play center, and that is a good football player right there, Evan Brown. He's probably a better football player than Graham Glasgow, but it is what it is. Graham Glasgow costs $1 million and you cost 10.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he's not that much better than Glasgow.
Yeah, he is.
Glasgow is a traditional center. I like it that he snaps the ball with the nose of the football. I've always liked that kind of style. Right there.
You like that?
Yep.
You like that?
No, boy, this must be John Dorn.
It has to be because last year we were one of the least penalized offensive lines. I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, you see, John says the opposite is
Mhm.
you can he says, here's reality. And then John lives over here somewhere. Because I remember a couple of weeks ago, he brought up Sutton, the fact that he only had one good year. And we took a little trip to PFF Lane, and I proved him wrong. And right that he had 3 solid years. And actually, last year wasn't his best year. His previous years were actually better. And
Hey, the only thing John Dorn was right about, out of all these years I known him, he always thought Matt Nagy was trash. It's the only thing I agree with.
The Lions had 90 penalties last year, which was the 11th fewest in the NFL. Come again?
Hey, go ahead and hit that Kirk Cousins button again, Russell.
You like that?
Oh, one of the most penalized I love how you can just say some stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Say anything that's true.
Yeah. Right. Andrew says those free tickets were a pain in the ass today, but I got them. Awesome. Oh, you're talking about the training camp. That's cool.
Yep.
Well, I guess we're wrong. We live in reality, John. I'm sorry. I actually use the stats. I try to, not live and die by PFF stats, but
Look it.
I let it
John
guide a little
Dorn.
bit.
John Dorn has already said that Jordan Love is the best quarterback in the division. That he is going to be better than Aaron Rodgers has been.
No, you got hey Russell, you got a puking sound for that one?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
What? I don't know what I got.
Just before he typed that the Lions were the most penalized offense last year, you know what I heard?
Hey, let me show this real quick because Jason, my neighbor down the road, I mentioned this a little bit earlier about Kirk Cousins. If you haven't watched this, I started it last night. I think I got 3 episodes left and I'm done. It's a limited series. It follows Mahomes, Cousins, and Mariota during the season.
See that number? I don't know if you can see it. See the number on there?
Oh, yeah, please go.
That's how many people in front of me for tickets to Allen Park right now.
This quarterback show though on Netflix, it followed those 3 guys for the entire season last year. Great look inside, and you really get a good understanding of what these guys at the quarterback position go through. And honestly, like Russell, especially Jeremy, if you watch it, you'll get a better, I don't want to say understanding, but a more of appreciation for what Kirk Cousins does for that football team up there in Minnesota, week in, week out. I think it's a great show.
Oh, quarterback?
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I probably will. Between writing, setting up my podcast, coming on Russell's podcast, and working every day, it's a little hard for me to have time for Netflix.
The future of NFL, NFC North quarterbacks. We're in the spot. Like, here's 2 quarterbacks right here that I don't even know.
Veterans.
Are they going to be what? Yeah, but are they going to be part of the Lions and the Vikings come 2024, 2025? These guys are not the future.
I think Goff would be more than Cousins in that, if you're going to ask that question.
Yep.
And that's because of their cap hell.
And look, I think the Vikings, because of cap hell, right, Jeremy? But I think the way Quezzy's done this team and not offered Cousins, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, right? I mean, they basically said, if we don't win the division, bye-bye to Cousins. I mean, unless Cousins like his MVP, which could theoretically, I guess, happen, right? He's one of 32. It could happen. I think they're willing to move off. Whereas the Lions with Goff, even if he has a down year, I think he's got enough support from the fans and the coaching staff that even if he has a bad year, he's sticking around for at least 1 or 2 more. But Cousins has to have like that team has to be a playoff team that wins a playoff game, I think, in order for Cousins to stay.
And so, Jeremy, I got a question. If say, Goff, you guys win a division and get to the playoffs, either win or lose a playoff game, do you give that extension to Goff?
I think, and I'm going to say this now because I've talked about this ad nauseum on my show. I think that's why we drafted Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round. It wasn't just because he was the best quarterback available and everything else. Brad Holmes has a relationship with that family that's been for years. He's known Hendon Hooker since he was a kid. So he has that relation. He saw his progression as a quarterback from high school to Virginia Tech to Tennessee.
That's why he's smart, Jeremy. He's Virginia. He's a Hokie like me.
Right. And then on top of that, he's only 1.05, not even 1.5. It's 1.05 million a year for that 3rd round quarterback. So he's a negotiating tool. If Jared Goff is not going to accept a less than $40 million a year quarterback salary, I have the feeling he'll be traded for commodities, regardless of how he does.
Well, let me tell you something. If the Giants want to pay Daniel Fumbles, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones.
But Daniel Jones was not the reason that team won games. They paid the wrong guy. Saquon Barkley is who won games for that team.
QB the team.
I like to agree with you, Jeremy. I really do. But Saquon Barkley only had one healthy year.
And it was last year.
He had a non-contact injury against us. And
On that field. On the field of knees that I call out there in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
And
You
Saquon
realize-
Barkley,
as of last
Saquon Barkley also lives 10 minutes from me. He went to Whitehall, Pennsylvania as well.
That's awesome.
I don't.
So your values stayed the same because he raised it and Matt Millen lowered it.
Well, the last time a running back got at least 10 million for a contract was Nick Chubb. And
Yeah.
I say Nick Chubb is 2 times better than Barkley. I don't care what anybody says.
I have
Barkley-
close to the same level. When they're on the field, they are of the same talent
Yeah.
level.
I love Nick
think
Chubb.
Chubb's
He's a
the best
scoring
running back in the
machine.
league.
I had him on my fantasy for the last 3 years. Saquon Barkley, I won't touch on a fantasy.
What's the
Right.
contract situation on Goff? How many years he's got left on the current deal?
He's got this
So-
year and next season.
Well, let me talk to you right here about this man right here and my opinion on this whole Goff situation. And I'm gonna judge by the way that the Jamal Williams thing was handled when it comes to how Goff is going to be handled. They drafted Hendon Hooker, and he is going to redshirt, and the full plan is for him to learn the offense, for him to learn behind Goff. Next year, they will trade Goff regardless of how he does. Even if he wins the Super Bowl, the plan of action is the plan of action. Like, he is going to train behind, and Hendon Hooker is the QB of the future. And like Jeremy alluded to earlier, you get him for $1.50 a year for 3 years, and they are going to take advantage of 3 of those years. 100%, because that's how you build a championship franchise. So I'm not saying that's what I want to have happen, but
That's what I see
our
happening.
general manager, Brad Holmes, has shown, because even Jamal Williams going out the door, hey, buddy, hey. And if they do re-sign Goff, it's going to sound something like this. Hey, Goff, we got something really, really good here. We have $25 million a year that I'm going to allocate for quarterback, and it's going to go on the table for you. Would you like to sign an extension, 2 years, $25 million to stay with this franchise? Oh, you don't want that? I have no problem with you walking out the door and doing that. So we're going to see what we can get you in the trade value for you.
Good luck and Godspeed.
And good luck. And
So,
and
Russell,
he moves on.
If you win the division and then God forbid win a playoff game in the same year this year, let's say that
You said God forbid.
how does your plan how is that Brad Holmes plan even remotely close to happen without the fan base burning down Ford Field? I mean,
Well,
look,
if
Golf
the
wins
fan
your
base
first
looks-
division title in 30 years.
Guess it's better in snow.
Okay, I'll answer that.
He's
I
not
mean,
leaving for the next 2 or 3 years.
let me answer that. So if he wins a playoff game, and here's the thing about Lion fans, and you probably already know this, but Goff was a top 10 quarterback last year by every statistical, any way you can slice it, but still half of the Lions fans have found a way to not like him. If he wins a playoff game, I believe that he'll win over a few more fans, but there's still going to be a majority of the fans that say, oh, I want to see what we have in Hendon Hooker. You're not going to kill the fan base by moving to your rookie contract quarterback. I'm sorry.
But Russell, you win a division championship, which now puts a banner in the rafters.
Yep.
And you win a playoff
Not the banner
game.
I want.
And let's just take a separate. Let's say it's a road playoff game. You win that. Oh my God! Let's say you make it to the NFC Championship with him. I'm sorry, you're not going to say, oh well, let's take the unproven, untested Hendon Hooker and put him in place of Jared Goff. They're going to want the Lions to re-sign. Now look at the Lions can make a bounty on
I
a
can
trade.
give you
sure.
Let me not
answer on
disagree
why
with you.
it makes
I don't
sense.
want to. I don't want to disagree with you. I don't want to disagree with you there because I'm not trying to disagree. I'm just telling you that in Brad Holmes, from what I've seen in this man, this isn't my opinion. This is just, it's like a spoiler alert. This is just kind of how he operates in the way that the schedules. The only way that Jared Goff can guarantee himself a spot and an extension on this team is to win the Super Bowl. Then they will extend him. That's all he's got. If he wins a
Man,
playoff
I don't
game,
know, man, because if you
Here-
see, let's say you win the division this year, let's say you win a playoff game, let's say he's like, you read the stats every year, it's gotten better. Let's say you see another progression this year. It's hard to get rid of a guy who's relatively young in the league for a guy you drafted when 5th, 6th round. I like
Third.
Hooker, and I like Hooker as an insurance policy, but he is an insurance policy. If
he's a
Goff isn't
first-round
good.
grade. All
Good.
these other
You don't need
guys,
the policy.
all these other guys that are drafting these quarterbacks are throwing their guys right to the wolf. It's not an insurance policy. You're putting a bet, no matter who you put out there. And by the way, if he wins a playoff game, we could just ship him off to the Vikings for 2 first-round picks. Done deal.
Yeah, because
Done
we've
deal.
already every team in the
You like
NFC
that?
North has fleeced Quezzy except for the Vikings so far. Except
Yeah,
for the
I mean,
Bears.
He'll have a high trade value because the contract's
for sure.
manageable, and then you'll be able to move to your next guy. That's just the style of what Brad Holmes did. He let Jamal Williams walk. It's like, cool. We'll bring in David Montgomery. We'll
He
offer him
let-
the same deal.
He let the
This
guy
is what
that
we
broke
have.
the guy you're talking about, franchise record for rushing touchdowns, just say, see ya. You don't want to sign for what we want? We don't need you.
Running backs are a completely different ball game than quarterbacks in this league.
What I'm saying is that's the way that he's handling his business. Even from the free agent standpoint, like he ain't bringing brand new guys in for like 4-year deals. Cameron Sutton got the longest deal. I mean, him and David Montgomery getting 3-year deals as off the street guys. He hadn't offered any 3-year deals to anybody. It was
Quarterbacks,
one,
so
then 2. If they prove themselves, they got a 2-year deal, and then Tracy Walker actually made it to he got re-signed.
quarterbacks are a whole nother ball game than any other skill position. If you want proof of that, look at the Bears. Look
You're
at the
right.
Vikings. Look at the Lions. Look at every team in the NFC North not called Green Bay for the last 30 years. Hendon Hooker, you know what he is? Take your analysis but a step further and add it to what I said as being an insurance policy. Because what's the other big spending block teams get every year? How much am I paying for a quality backup should my starter get hurt and miss time? Hendon Hooker, not only is he your insurance policy if Goff ends up regressing for the next year or two, he's also a very, very cheap and competent backup quarterback. You're betting that he's going to be a competent backup.
Sure.
He's an unproven draft
But
pick.
there's no hurry.
Right?
You know,
I mean-
you got red shirt. He can learn
Right.
the entire
Trubisky,
offense.
you can go to Trubisky. Now we can venture in Trubisky land because Trubisky in 18 was great. Now look at him.
Okay. Now, finally, can I say what I've been trying to say?
Wait. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Goff was only good when Ben Johnson took over as OC that first year. Look at the numbers because Anthony Lynn was absolute trash. And if Ben Johnson goes, Goff won't be as good here. You watch. It'll happen. You can say what you want, but Ben Johnson built this offense and his play scheme around Goff's talents. So if he goes, it'll all depend on who they hire as OC, but I think Goff is gone either way next year.
Wow.
Well,
So you're saying that if I follow Russell and Jeremy, you guys are saying, in effect, that next year the only starters from this year that may be in the NFC North next year starters could be Fields
Jordan
and
Love
Love.
and Justin Fields.
and that's not even guaranteed. There's a good, not good chance, but there is a chance that all 4 of the quarterbacks could be different next year because if Bustin Fields turns into Bustin Fields and Jordan Love ain't that good, you know, and we move on to Hooker and then Cousins, you know, craps the bed and they draft a quarterback, we could see 4 new quarterbacks in the NFC North next year.
If Justin Fields gets hurt, we're screwed. We got PJ Walker and Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, you might be
You got the
extending
Peter
PJ
man.
Walker because we know PJ Walker can slang it to DJ Moore. Woo!
But I mean, that's
Yep.
the whole point, though, on the Henderson being great insurance for Detroit. And you know what could be even funnier, though? If, let's say, Jordan Love, let's say he shits the bed. Let's say Quezzy is dead set on getting rid of Cousins. Wouldn't it be funny to see Cousins goes? Because I'm telling you what, if I'm Green Bay and Jordan Love sucks and Quezzy's stupid enough to let Cousins walk,
Please.
hey, why don't you just make the move like 4 hours to the east and come to Green Bay? I could see that happening, and then Green Bay all of a sudden's a good team again.
Yeah, one funky Lions fan says Jamal was fed to the Lions fan, had the heart and soul of the team. If Holmes was willing to let him walk, I don't think anyone is safe. And I don't think that's a mean thing. That Holmes is running. It's a business. It's a business. Okay, we have a certain amount of money that we can spend for this and that's it. There's not they offered Jamal Williams $6 million a year. Okay. They or five. I don't know what the offer was, but it was
David Montgomery got 6.3. I think they offered him just under that. It was like 6.1 or 6.2, and he signed for less with New Orleans.
Well, regardless of what that is they offered him money. He said, "Hey, you have till this certain time to do the deal," and when it didn't go through, they were like, okay, well, the next one up on the list was David Montgomery. Bring him in, sign him.
Yeah, like sometimes players are their own worst enemy with dealing with the team they play for a deal, because had he not set a deadline and said certain things, the Lions may have gave him away. But the problem he also had was Montgomery was going to be available and was available, and Montgomery is a darn good running back. Bears fans were mad when we let him go. That we let him
I was sad, Ken. Sad.
And so, Jamal did not read the room right.
Right. And I like Jamal here, but I'm not dumb enough to sit up here and think that Jamal, didn't run 9 of those touchdowns right off of Frank Ragnall's butt and walk into the end zone because we have an awesome offensive line. I'm not going to just give him all the credit for 17 touchdowns and breaking Barry Sanders' record. Barry Sanders never had a line like this, not like this. So David Montgomery signing here, he sees the opportunity. He led the league in broken tackle rate last year, but the problem was he was breaking the tackles 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And on this offensive line, he's going to be breaking his first tackle 4 yards down the field. So I'm looking for David Montgomery to have a really big year here because of his skill set and what he brings.
Just don't have him throw a halfback pass, then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that a lot of quarterbacks have to look out for is that fourth rule they added this year. That rule with the RPOs is going to disrupt how they do it right now.
Yeah.
Because if a quarterback tucks the ball and runs outside the tackle box, they cannot pitch the ball forward or do a shuffle pass. They have to lateral or do behind them, just like a running back.
That's a Mahomes-ish kind of rule, though. That's more of a Mahomes thing. But hey, this is a great comment here, and it's from Kareem, and it kind of answers Jason. So we're talking about the 4 quarterbacks for next year. Jason said, "Spot on, guys. 4 new quarterbacks is a possibility for sure." But Kareem, I think, hits it more in the head, right?
I'm not calling him a bust. I called him Bustin' Fields, not because he's a bust. I called him Bustin' Fields because that O-line could get him killed.
Right, but what Kareem's saying though, and what Jason said, Jason's comment I read, Kareem has got a point there, and I think Fields is the only quarterback actually in the division who is safe past this year because of what Kareem says there. It's going to take time. This now, and look, Justin shows any progression at all this year, any progression at all throwing the ball, he's automatically safe. The Bears could win 5 games. But if he throws for 3,500 yards and has a good TD interception ratio, he's safe.
It's my quarterback.
Power of the rookie deal right there. This is a brand new NFL. You have to run your franchise on like these 5-year cycles. And if you're going to pay your quarterback, you have to realize that the other big skill positions you're going to have to draft well. Those spots.
Your quarterback, he has to be a guy that you think is going to be on your team for 10 to 15 to 20 years. He has to be an Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees. One of these guys with longevity, not a guy who's going to be Andrew Luck you in year 7 or 8, right? These guys, if you want to spend money on a quarterback, it's got to be a guy that you're thinking is a decade plus quarterback for your franchise, or they're just going to move on. Because how many guys have we seen sign past their rookie year, Tannehill, and they're gone, right? Mariota, and they're gone.
Tannehill,
Derek
Mariota,
Carr, and
yeah,
they're gone.
Cousins.
If you're going to spend the money, give a guy a big paycheck as a quarterback, you're saying, I'm keeping you in my mind to you're 15 in the league or beyond. So if I don't see you as being my guy 5 years from now or 7 years from now, I'm moving on to the draft or some other young guy.
Man, this is a great quarterback conversation, and we've been doing this for 2 hours today. This is about the time where I turn into a pumpkin right
Yeah, you
here.
got one more thing
And,
to say.
And
Pumpkin Lane.
yeah, I do have one more thing to say, but I would love to continue this conversation tomorrow. Like we do this every single morning at 11 a.m. on the Eastern, because I think that's what 12 for you guys. Is it earlier? Or is 10 or 12 for you guys?
10. No,
10
we
o'clock.
mean
No, we're 10. You do it 11 Eastern. Wait, you do it at 10 Central, 11 Eastern.
you're an hour behind us.
Okay. So yeah, so we're in the Eastern, so it'll be 10 o'clock for you guys that are over there in the Central, and we're gonna hit these. I mean, this is we got about a week until these rookies are coming in. Some of the rookies are already reporting, but this week let's continue this NFC North like future quarterback controversy in here. How do you think that your team's gonna do? We can keep this thread going. So, what do you think that your team's gonna do in the future for your quarterback? Are you going with the guy that you have? I mean, put yourself out there. So, from Russell Wayne, I want everybody to be able to go around right here. We'll start with you, Jeremy B.
Well, you got my channel, Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions. I have my NFC North review tonight at 8 p.m. So if you want to be a guest, send me a message, Woody. Ken, you too. I don't care. The more the merrier. I'm quite sure I'm going to have a couple Lions fans on there. Don't think that's hard since it's a Lions-based show. I already have looks like Jamez is wanting to come on. I hope he understands it's not a smack talk show. It's actually talking football.
Jamez is a smart guy. He can
I
talk
know, I'm just
football
being
too.
a smart ass.
But
I'm
go
also
ahead.
on the South Florida Tribune channel. I do multiple podcasts with my publisher, which is who I write for because he owns the Motor City Tribune. And hey, you want to check me out? SouthFloridaTribune.com. There's a little red bar with 3 white lines. That's the menu bar. Pull up the Motor City Tribune. Go to my name. You will see my 10 pages of articles over the past 10 months.
Right on. How about you? What did you want? You want to plug the Hallis Hall? Go ahead.
You get to see me, Ken, and Mike on Hallis Hall Report Wednesdays. I think it's 8:30 Eastern, and Sunday mornings 12:30 p.m. Eastern before the games start. Hallis Hall Report. Come join us.
Boom. I love it. And right here, this is the I guess the NFC North phone sessions right here. I am your host, Russell Wayne, and we definitely enjoy doing this. We're broadcasting live right now in my own personal page, the Detroit Lion News. Please follow us over at the Detroit Lions Villain Squad. There's Mike the Bear fan, and then there's Bill the Packer fan, and we do this every single morning, 11 a.m. God bless you guys.
Hey,
thank you
Jason,
so much
send me
for
a friend
listening.
request, Jason. I can't do it I'm in StreamYard, so go ahead and send it. I'll accept, neighbor. Sorry, Russell.
Yeah.
Give me my moment.
Oh, well, you're part of. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Gosh, can you guys make this any more weird for me while I'm closing out? Anybody got any last second things to drop in before I put the end credits on?
Don't let Russell fool you. He's actually a Kirk Cousins fan. Hit the like it button.
My thing I want